I've never bought a gate before, but I would have never expected that it would be a gate in a box. But it is. And this gate is 4 feet high and 6 feet wide, but you can adjust it to the size that you want. It's kind of deceptive saying it's adjustable because it's really only adjustable one time. Once you make cuts, you can't make it bigger. So, not sure why it's called adjustable. So this kit here contains the gate hinges and latch, gate frame, chain link and hardware, and a truss cable and hardware. This box does not contain gate posts or post hinges. So what would normally be over here does not come in the box. Here's what we got: the vertical uprights, we got the horizontal spreader bars, we got 2 gate rods, chain link, and then we got all of these pieces here, which has the gate clips, self-tapping set screws, truss wire corner hook, and then we got frame hinges, and then there's the gate latch. This is definitely not your typical solid gate. The instructions say that you'll need an adjustable wrench. What you may need the adjustable wrench for are the nuts on these bolts, but you can just use a 14mm wrench, which is not on there. Need a pair of pliers. In place of a hacksaw, I'm going to use a cutoff wheel. Got wire cutters, and I've got a drill with a nut driver socket, and in this case this is a 5/16, which fits the self-tap screws. It's not mentioned, but obviously if you're going to do some cutting, you'll need a tape measure. And if you need a crescent wrench for that, you're probably better off finding a wrench that'll work. So I will have to find a small wrench for that, or use a pair of pliers. There you go. There's all the tools that you will need. I already did an inventory. Everything's here. Alright, so right here in the instructions, they got a little cheat thing here that tells you if your gate opening is so much, then you need to cut the spreader bars, which are these two, to a certain length. So in my case, I have a 61-inch gate opening, but there is no 61. So what it says is that if you don't have this, then add an additional inch to your spreader bar length. So mine's 61, so I'm going to add 1 to 44, so my spreader bars are going to be 45 inches long. I've got my posts, or the horizontal spreader bar, marked so I can cut them. Now, like I said, I'm going to use a cutoff wheel instead of a hacksaw. One down. Cut the second one now. Checking to make sure they're the same length, and they are. The vertical uprights are marked or have little labels on, so this is bottom latch side, so you make sure that's on the bottom, and then the other side is also marked, and right here it says top hinge side. So you want to put it over on the other side. This is what it looks like when the frame is put together. And like I said, you want bottom latch side, top hinge side. And then next step is to put your self-tap screws in to keep the frame together while you do the rest of the work on it. Something that I would recommend is, if you want to keep this nice and tight when you put it together, is use a cinch strap or cam buckle strap to basically pull everything together before you put your tap screws in. I'm not going to do that, but it's something that you can do if you want to make sure it's nice and tight when you put it together. When you put the self-tap screws in, it doesn't really tell you how far to put it in, but if you look at this, you're pretty safe to put it about an inch in. Both the top self-tap screws are in. Now I just need to put the bottom ones on. Reason it wants to keep pushing out. Put the last of the self-tap screws in. Step 4 is the only instructions on how to put the truss wire on. And so what you'll need obviously is the gate frame, in which you got the top hinge side top left, and then you got your bottom latch side on the right, and then you got your truss wire, your adjustable clamp. This is for locking down the wire once you put it over on that side, and then this goes in here. This, it doesn't say whether it should be facing up or down. I am going to put it so that it is facing down. Bring it across. Go ahead and slide this on here so I don't have to completely disassemble it. Doesn't say where to put it or anything, it just says to cut the excess off. Hopefully these wire cutters will cut this. I'll have to snip at it or cut it. It's a little too thick for my wire cutters. So I can put this wherever I want it and then lock it down. It doesn't really matter because you're going to be doing all your adjustments on it up here anyway. So you won't need to adjust that anymore. The nuts on here are 8mm. One thing you want to do is you don't want to have a big loop, so adjust this down further because the bigger this hoop right here is, the more you're going to have to adjust up at the top. So slide this down, close up the little loop there, and then before you start, make sure this is adjusted out so that you can maximize how much you can tighten it when it comes time to tighten it. And one thing you don't see in the instructions is kind of tells you how to put it on, but then doesn't tell you anything else. Just put it on. Doesn't tell you how much you should adjust it, or you know, this will be a step later on, but there is no later on step. It goes right into installing the chain link, and then that's it. And then it goes into French, I believe. I adjusted mine to there because, I mean, I'm probably never going to have to mess with this ever again. I just didn't like the idea of a big loop on there and excess material hanging off of it. So I'm gonna cut this excess off again. Now I can adjust this. So after you adjust this out, what you want to do is tighten this a little bit, not too much. And then what you want to do is take a pair of pliers and pull. Tighten it up a little bit. And so the reason why I'm saying you want to pull this is to close this loop up, because what you don't want to happen is you lock this down and then you go up top to tighten it, and then you get to the point where you have no more threads left because you had to adjust it quite a bit. And you just want to make sure there's not a lot of slack in it, because then you'll have to go back to adjusting that and then coming back up here and adjusting this. Like I said, in the instructions, it doesn't really tell you how much to tighten this. Tighten it until it's tight, and then at some point you may want to check to make sure it's square. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that, but that is that portion of putting the gate together. Next thing to do is install the chain link. All right, for this next part, I've got the hinge side here on this side, and the gate's going like this. You need a gate rod and then 3 of these clips, and then you need the chain link. On these rods, there's 2 of them. One end has a hole on it, and the other end doesn't. I'm not sure why, but there is nothing in the instructions that say what this hole is for, if it's for anything. But it's on there. Once you get the rod through, then you've got to put your 3 clips on, and you want to make sure that these are evenly spaced. So that is going to sit there loosely for now, and then what you'll have to do is rotate it around and then pull the fence tight, And then in my case, because I knew I removed 11 inches off of the horizontal bars, I'm gonna have to remove some chain links, and that's not too difficult because you just have to twist them out and then figure out the exact length that you need. Kind of losing space here. Not the best situation as far as space. I am going to pull this chain link across. I guess they put an extra piece of chain link in there. So I'm going to pull it across to get a general idea of how long this needs to be. So I'm just going to twist this off. You gotta undo the bottom and the top in order to unlock it. I'm just trying to make sure I get the right one. Off about 5 pieces. Now what I have to do is stretch it far enough. I really want this to be tight, so maybe I took too many out, maybe not, I don't know. Go ahead and put the bar in again. Alright, it may look like it's way too short. It may be, but I'm hoping it's not. Before I do this, I'm going to go over to the other side because I can see that middle clip, well, it's supposed to be a middle clip, but not really in the middle, so I'm going to move it over. All right, so that's on there. It's not super tight, but it is tight and it'll work. You definitely want to look at these because I'm seeing a pattern here. It's not even looped right there, and it's just kind of not looped there. So you want to check these to make sure they're on properly. There's actually quite a few that aren't on right. Right there, that one right there. So the last thing to do as far as getting this all put together is your wire ties, and you only have 10. So 5 for the top, 5 for the bottom. And I recommend that when you do this, start in the middle and work your way out, and then just space them out as evenly as possible. And it's going to vary where you put them depending on whether you cut the horizontal spreader bars or not. Alright, so that's the bottom side done. Now I'm going to do the top. Here are the remaining pieces, and I can just assume that these nuts and bolts go to these pieces for the hinges. And then as far as the gate latch, there's, other than saying put it on, there's really no instructions as far as how it's supposed to go on. I don't know if it's just assumed that everybody knows how to put a gate latch on, but if you don't have another gate to look at, you wouldn't know for sure how to put this on. But putting it on this way makes sense because it allows the latch to go up and down, and then also it's got this hole here on the bottom that allows you to put a lock on it so it can't be opened. I'm not 100% sure this is where my latch is going to go, only because I have a pin rod that needs to go into the ground that I don't want to interfere with this, but I think that can go to the outside or to the inside, so it won't interfere with it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and put the frame hinges on, and I did check these to make sure they fit on the post that I already have that has the male hinge portion of this. They fit, but they're very, very tight. With these, I'm just going to put them on, one on the top for now, and then put one on the bottom. Just going to put them on loosely so they're on for now. Something I forgot to mention is these clips right here. If they're too far open, what you can do is you can crimp it down so that it's tighter. I mean, these rods are kind of thin. You can see where it's bowing out. If they were stronger, they wouldn't do that as much. And this fence isn't even pulled that tight.